They say money talks, but this kind of money screams. Diamond. The name itself has a certain weight in this city, a glint of danger beneath the shine. We're talking penthouse view Houston skyline, the humid air thick with the scent of expensive perfume, and the distant rumble of traffic from the 610 loop. Her closet? A sanctuary of silk and leather, where designer labels hang like trophies, each one a testament to battles won. Parties that spill out onto balconies overlooking Allen Parkway, the city lights blurring into a kaleidoscope of excess, where the champagne flows like the Buffalo Bayou after a storm, its effervescence mirroring the dizzying heights of her success. Respect? Honey, respect is earned, and Diamond? She carved hers out with a blade sharper than any stiletto, a blade honed on the unforgiving streets of Houston. Street cred that stretches from the 3rd Ward to River Oaks, a whisper in the shadows that can make grown men tremble, their bravado dissolving under the weight of her gaze. This ain't just about the cash, it's about the empire she built, brick by bloody brick, each one stained with sweat and sacrifice. The loyalty she commands is fierce, a pact forged in fire and blood. The fear she instills? Even fiercer, a silent language understood in the darkest corners of the city. This is the life, the intoxicating rush of power, the seductive illusion of control, the glitter, the gold, the undeniable high of being the one who dictates the rules, the one who holds the strings. Suddenly, the vibrant music, a pulsating blend of Houston hip-hop and Latin rhythms, cuts off mid-beat. The dazzling lights, which had been swirling and shifting like a fever dream, flicker and dim, casting long, ominous shadows. A jarring sound, the shrill, insistent ring of a burner phone, pierces the opulent scene, shattering the illusion of invincibility. Diamond's perfectly manicured hand, adorned with rings that could buy a small house, reaches for a sleek, gold phone. Her expression, which had been a mask of cool confidence, cracks for a split second, revealing a glimpse of the steel beneath, a cold, calculating resolve that sends a shiver down the spine. Voice, OS, frantic, strained, the sound of labored breathing and muffled sob. Diamond! Help me! They got me. I swear I didn't say nothing. They... Another voice, OS, distorted, filled with a chilling, sadistic glee, the words dripping with malice. Bitch! You thought we wouldn't find out? You thought you could play us? You thought you were untouchable? We know about the drop, we know about the money, and we know about your little weakness. A sickening thud is heard, followed by a choked gasp, a wet, gurgling sound that lingers in the air. The line goes dead, leaving a deafening silence that is more terrifying than any scream. Diamond stares at the phone, her jaw tight, her knuckles white as she grips it. The opulent surroundings seem to recede, the music a distant, fading echo, replaced by the pounding of her own heart and the phantom screams of the dying man. A muscle twitches in her cheek, the only outward sign of the turmoil raging within her. But are you built for this shit? For the screams in the dark, the metallic tang of blood in the air, the cold, hard betrayal that cuts deeper than any blade? For the constant shadow of violence that clings to a life lived on the edge, where every victory is paid for in pain, and every alliance is a fragile truce? Diamond was. She had a graduate-level education in survival, a brutal curriculum written in bruises and broken promises, a masterclass in resilience forged in the crucible of a Houston childhood that would have broken lesser souls. Let's rewind, shall we? Let's peel back the layers of this carefully constructed persona and see the raw, unfiltered truth. Let's go back to the beginning, to the sweltering heat of a Houston summer, where a little girl named Diamond learned that the only person she could truly count on was herself, and that the only way to survive was to become someone else entirely. Chapter 2, Scars on the Concrete, extended. The scene shifts abruptly, the transition jarring and disorienting, like being plunged into ice water. The colors drain from the screen, replaced by the drab, oppressive reality of the cramped, run-down apartment. The air is thick with the smell of stale cigarettes, cheap beer, and a faint, acrid odor of decay. Young Diamond, around 10 years old, is hunched over a tattered textbook at a small, wobbly table, her brow furrowed in concentration. The sounds of the street, the rumble of a passing bus on Harrisburg, the distant wail of a siren, the shouts of children playing in the nearby park, are a constant, unwelcome intrusion. OS, her voice a grating, high-pitched whine that grates on the nerves. Diamond, get your lazy behind in here. I need you to start on these dishes. You think you just gonna sit there all day with your nose stuck in them books? You think you too good for this family now? Diamond flinches at the sound of her mother's voice, her shoulders tensing. She closes her eyes for a moment, trying to hold on to the fragile thread of concentration she had managed to grasp. Her stomach churns with a familiar mix of dread and resentment. Diately, her voice barely a whisper. Mama, I have a test tomorrow. It's really important. Entering the living room, wiping her hands on a stained apron that smells faintly of grease and despair, her eyes bloodshot and unfocused. Test? What good is school gonna do you? You just gonna end up like me anyway, stuck in this godforsaken place, with a no-good man and a life full of regrets. Now get your ass in that kitchen before I give you something to really cry about. Diamond sighs, a sound that is far too old for a child her age, and reluctantly gets up. The weight of her mother's words settles on her like a physical burden, crushing the fragile hope that flickers within her. As she passes Ray, who is slumped in front of the flickering television, his eyes glazed over and unfocused, he reaches out and roughly grabs her arm, his grip surprisingly strong. Ray's voice a low, guttural growl, laced with the sour stench of cheap whiskey. Where you think you going without saying nothing to your daddy? You think you too good for me now, huh? Got your head stuck in the clouds, thinking you better than us? Diamond tries to pull away, her small hand swallowed in his, the rough texture of his skin scraping against her own. A sharp pain shoots up her arm, and she winces, her eyes widening with fear. Trying to keep her voice steady, though it trembles slightly. No, sir, Mama wants me to do the dishes. His grip tightens, his fingers digging into her flesh. You better show some respect, girl. You eat my food. You live in my house. Even if it's a goddamn shithole. You owe me that much. You owe me everything. He shoves her away, sending her stumbling across the room, her small body colliding with the edge of the wobbly table. A sharp pain blossoms in her hip, and she cries out, her eyes filling with tears. Shawanda watches from the doorway, her expression a mixture of indifference and a flicker of something unreadable, perhaps a twisted sense of satisfaction, perhaps a flicker of shame, quickly extinguished. Later that evening, Diamond is trying to find solace in the pages of a worn copy of The Blue Sky, the words a temporary escape from the suffocating reality of her life. She sits huddled in a corner of her small, cramped bedroom, the only light coming from a flickering street lamp outside the window. The sounds of her parents arguing drift through the thin walls, their voices rising and falling in a chaotic symphony of anger and resentment. O.S., his voice a drunken roar. Where's my damn money, Shawanda? I know you got some stashed away somewhere. You always do. O.S., her voice muffled but still sharp and defensive. I don't have any money, Ray. You spent it all at that damn track. Every single cent. The sounds of a struggle erupt from the other room, raised voices, things being knocked over, the unmistakable sound of a glass shattering. Diamond shrinks back against the wall, her heart pounding in her chest, clutching her book as if it were a shield. She closes her eyes, trying to block out the sounds, but they seep into her consciousness, painting vivid pictures of the violence and despair that have become the soundtrack of her life. Suddenly, the bedroom door bursts open, and Ray shoves Shawanda into the room, her body slamming against the wall with a sickening thud. Shawanda's lip is bleeding, a thin trickle of crimson snaking down her chin, and her eyes are wide with a mixture of fear and fury. His face contorted with a drunken rage, his words slurred and venomous. See what you made me do, you stupid woman? You always pushin' me, always naggin'. And you! He points a shaky finger at Diamond, his gaze filled with a mixture of disgust and resentment. You just sit there, don't you? Never lift a finger to help your own mama. You worthless, just like her, you both just a burden on me. He storms out of the room, slamming the door behind him, the sound echoing through the small apartment like a gunshot. Shawanda slides down the wall, her back against the cold plaster, her body trembling. She stares at Diamond, her anger misplaced, her words laced with a bitter resentment. Her voice thick with self-pity and a twisted sense of entitlement. It's your fault. If you weren't such a burden, always needing things, always wanting things, maybe your daddy wouldn't be so stressed out. Maybe he wouldn't drink so much. Maybe Maybe he would actually love me.